Hello, everyone, and thank you so much for coming to this breakout session. It is exciting to see you all, and I really appreciate your time. So as he mentioned, my name is Hannah, and I get to work for Sweetwater Sound, and I am their Cloud FinOps analyst. So for those who may not know, Sweetwater Sound is the #1 online music retailer for all things pro audio, musical equipment, band, and orchestra in the United States. So for that amazing rock concert that you went to one time, or your secret garage band that you have in the back, we're probably participating in that as well with you. So I want to kind of get a little feeling from the room. Which one of these sounds familiar? So raise your hand, hoop and holler, make Joe proud. But I'm going to read off a few examples. Your company's software spend has left the annual budget miles behind. Yep. Multiple departments have independent signed contracts with the same vendor. Yeah, right? Super popular. How about this one? The AI Tools monthly report shows the team's favorite model was the most expensive, and I'm going to add in there you're 4 months into your 12-month commit. Anything? Yep. And lastly, an invoice from a tool that was supposed to be terminated was received with additional overage charges. Yeah, exactly. These are all super real-life experiences that we at Sweetwater have been dealing with, and so we wanted to figure out a way to stop them and see how we can fix things going forward. So we saw the issue, we needed to find a way to fix it, so what we did, we made our goal. Our goal was to right-size our technology portfolio, optimize where possible, and operate in an organized and efficient way. The result? Over $3 million saved in technology spend in 2 years, internal accountability created and maintained, and reinvestment opportunities provided to the business. All right, so I'm going to kind of share a little bit of experiences from Sweetwater, but then also we made a playbook, and so I wanted to share that with you as well, because a lot of times with FinOps, as you all are aware, there's so many hats, there's so many areas, and we don't know where to start. So I wanted to share how we kind of figured that out. So step 1, gather the details. Learn what technology your company is using and paying for. This is going to be very different from paying for and what you guys are getting for free, so make sure you keep those two separated. Create an inventory. Create a detailed service provider inventory for what you learned. So number 1, I honestly went to my finance team and I said, find out everything that we're paying for that's in the technology bucket. Number 3, find out who, how, and why the company is using the tools. And then we're going to build a centralized tool to house all of our document management to help track things a little bit more clear. Number 5, review assigned licenses, right-size usage, clean out the waste. Terminate, right-size, and reinvest for the company. Create an anomaly process. Set up the detection and management process to avoid overcharges and unmanaged usage moving forward. And then build an onboarding and offboarding process so that we don't get those supposedly terminated tools invoicing us some more. All right, so here's kind of where I'm going to get into the help you guys out, give you some tips that we learned. Again, we're going to have some Q&A at the end, so please feel free to save those questions until then. So the service provider inventory. This should include, but is not limited to, and 100% please take this as whatever's going to be best for your guys' business and what you guys are focusing on. But for us, it was a service name and the use case. The criticality of the tool for the company. So if the tool hits a low spot, what's it going to cost to your company, and what kind of criticality is that going to bring? The vendor name it is purchased from. So if you're purchasing a tool from a value-added reseller, that's going to be different. Where is your money going to? The contract length. Termination notice due by date. So if you look at the contract, it's going to say you have to give us 30 days written notice, or hey, 90 days written notice and mail it to us by a carrier pigeon. You're going to need to document that as well. Your partner status, are they active, terminated, are they under review? And then your internal point of contact, so who is using the tool, and then who is going to be the one that you're going to talk to and say, hey, renewal's coming up, what are your thoughts? How do you want to manage this? Now we're going to get to know our bandmates. So legal and finance, those are going to be your first 2 people, in my personal opinion, that are going to set you a great foundation to build off of. So on the legal side, go to your compliance team and find out, hey, what are the technology provider requirements? Because I promise you they probably have them written down somewhere. From the security standpoint, are there technology policies and integration requirements? Does your security company or security team require that everything have SSO set up? because that's going to depend on your tool, because some tools are going to offer that and some tools cannot. Then we're going to wander over to finance, and we're going to ask the controller, hey, the technology budget, style, and coding requirements, how do those look for this year? It changes year to year sometimes. But also, when you're going into renewal and you're coming up on a new tool, you're going to want to know, hey, finance, we have a new tool. I don't think it's going to fit in your current coding. How do you want to manage this? And then procurement. This is one easy, low-hanging fruit that we discovered throughout this process. But find out if your state requires that you pay SaaS tax. Some states are different on that. So find out from your tax director what they think. Now we're going to get to know our stakeholders. I want to find out how they take their coffee. Do they like their eggs scrambled? I mean, this is going to be information that you're going to need to know. But you're going to want to know who is the internal point of contact and who manages the finances of the tool. So when an invoice comes in, who's approving it for the finance team? But also, who's the person that you're going to call and say, hey, the renewal's coming up, it's not working out. What are we going to move forward with? Use case. This is where you're going to go find an employee under the manager who is using the tool daily. And you're going to say, hey, how's the tool used? What all is it touching? Is it touching employee data, customer data? Find out how it's being used and what all it's touching. And then how is the tool being used as well for that? So if it's a marketing tool, finance tool, find out how it's being used, but then also if it's just that one department or if it's company-wide. That's going to be very important to document as well. Tool review. Does the tool meet the need? What is favorable and what is not about it? Coming up on renewal, you're going to say, hey guys, team member says your support was kind of lacking this year. What can you do for us for this time? Or hey, so-and-so submitted a ticket 6 months ago and there hasn't been any update. Can we get some update on that? This is going to be helpful, but then also kind of keep in the back of your head that come renewal, you're going to be able to know, hey, you know what, this ticket or this tool isn't really meeting our needs, or meh, it's okay. Let's look at what else is out there in the market. So we made a central location for document management. Make sure you're choosing whatever tool you choose is safe. You guys have complete control over it. But in this document management location, you're going to save copies of current contracts and check with your legal and compliance team on how old signed contracts need to be saved. Because sometimes it's 2 years, 3 years, or yeah, it's expired, it's done for. But each state's going to have different requirements, or different industries are going to have different requirements. Statement of works. Are you hiring a contractor to come in and do some work for you? And does it have listed out what their statement of work is? Make sure you sign that. My super quick, easy rule of thumb is just if it has a signature on it, put it in the document collection location, because that's going to hold some weight. And then for the compliance and security documentation, this is where you're going to make friends with your compliance and security team. But you're going to include important documentation such as master service agreements, your SOC 1, 2, or 3, depending on your industry, technology security policies, the data processing agreement, and service privacy policy. The data processing agreement is going to be really important depending on your guys' industry, but say if something happens to that tool, that's going to help your compliance team know what they need to do to cut off that event and what all it's going to attach. So, quick note from our experiences. Have a common language or style for how the documents will be titled in the central location. So we had this opened up to a FinOps team, we had it to legal and compliance, a security team, and then we had a few finance individuals with access to this location. And when everyone was uploading a document in there, everyone was titling it differently. And so make sure you have a central way to do it. So for us, we did the year that it was signed, or the year that we got the document, if it was signed, if it wasn't, what it was, so for example, FinOps renewal, and then the date that it was uploaded. So the data uploading is going to be important because when, for example, if you're putting in there the terms and conditions, but then the company updates the terms and conditions, you're going to quickly just review that document in that folder and find out, oh, yep, this is older. Let's update, let's get the new one. This is just a quick, easy way to get through it. Okay, so how did we bring accountability? From those examples at the beginning that I was sharing, there was a lot of different ways that people were requesting access to tools. They were just swiping a credit card that they got a hold of and getting whatever tool they need. And they were also doing their own trials without speaking with compliance and security. So we wanted to make sure that we made a central location for these type of requests. So we made a ticket system, because that's what we do in this world, right? So we're going to start out. We created the ticket was submitted to the FinOps team, who confirmed the tool was used by the requesting department and if there was availability. So the ticket system is for new and existing tools. However, this example is going to be for an existing tool and for someone who needs access to it. So again, the ticket goes to the FinOps team. The FinOps team at this point knows the most about these technology tools that we have in-house, how we're paying for, how we're using them, who uses them, and also how much we're paying for it. They've got clear understanding and clear visibility on the contract. So the FinOps team is going to look at the tool, and we're going to say, yeah, Joe from marketing, yeah, you're going to get a creative tool, sure. Do we have a license available? Let's check. If not, we're going to process with procurement and finance saying, hey, we need more licenses. If so, then we're going to say, hey, yep, we can move forward. So after FinOps approves it, it goes to the person's manager. So the reason we do this is because this was bringing visibility to the manager of what their team is using, what their team is needing and asking for, and also giving them visibility on their spend as well for their departments. So with this, we would say, hey, Joe is asking for a marketing tool. Here's the license cost per year. Can I have your approval? The manager is to review it. They can either approve or deny it. If it gets approved, it goes to IT. And FinOps in our company sits under IT. And so this is helpful because the IT team is going to be the ones who are going to be setting up access to that tool. So it goes to the manager or an IT manager for final review and approval. This gives FinOps a little backup, I guess you could say, especially depending on, hey, this tool actually is going out, or hey, yeah, we actually do have access. But also, this gives the IT team awareness of what is coming down the line. So hey, you're going to need to set up this license. You're going to need to download this app on this guy's computer. You're going to have to help out with that. One thing about this is that if it's consumption-based, obviously it's going to be a little bit more challenging. You can't just say, hey, you're going to spend this much money per year. So you're going to have to decide kind of how you guys want to report that information. But for us, it was, hey, your current team is spending this much per month. So this is going to be added to that. So vendor management. So again, FinOps knows by this time as much as information as we can possibly learn about the tools that we're using, what we're spending, how we're using it. And now we need to make sure that we're working with the vendors and making sure that they are also staying on our team. Remember, you guys are the customer. So sometimes you get those vendors that are super excited that your renewal is coming up in 6 months and they've already sent you a renewal quote and they're like, let's sign today. And you're like, no. You're the customer. You can keep them at bay or you can say, yeah, let's sign early. Let's do it. This is also fun times for negotiations. Keep the vendor accountable. Hey, that support ticket that we submitted 6 months ago that didn't get any answers. I need you guys to step that up before we can even talk about renewals. Or hey, what are you going to do to help this work better coming forward? Read your contracts and do your homework, especially at renewals. They're going to come in and they're going to say, hey, we changed our models. And you're going to say, actually, I understand that, but here's how we're using what we have currently, so how can we make this work with your new model? Make sure you know what you currently have. And then practice your due diligence. There are so many up-and-coming companies and providers out there. Take a look at what's out in the market. See if you are outgrowing your current vendor or tool, and then also maybe process an RFP, see if your current provider is going to be able to come and meet you there. RFPs are not necessarily a, hey, you're doing a bad job. This is simply, hey, we're looking at what else is out there. We're doing our due diligence, especially in today's industry. You've got stuff coming up and new companies and fresh starters coming up. Sometimes they offer really great things, especially with AI. All right, areas of negotiation. On-demand usage versus commitment is going to be different. Take a look at how your team has been using the tool previously. Look at past 3 months, 6 months, depending on your guys' industry and your spikiness. And then project out 6, 12 months. Find out if it's best to go commitment-wise or on-demand. Training. For AI especially, with things being changed so much, see if they'll throw in some free training meetings. See if they'll get you a few meetings. If they say, yeah, I'll give you a link, See if you can get them a little something else. Licensing, find out the various options of licensing levels and costs. So sometimes after you reviewed how your team is using the tool, sometimes you can realize that, hey, I don't need everyone to have a developer license. I think I could get away with a few read-only licenses. So see about those. See what costs those are going to come up with. And then at your renewal, say, hey, yeah, let's renew with this many licenses, but actually let's see, can you guys give me something for read-only? Payments. Most companies give you net 15, net 30. Occasionally they'll go net 60, net 90. You can ask your salesperson, say, hey, what are the possibilities? And they're going to say, yeah, net 30. Push them a little bit further and say, hey, can you ask your finance team if you're willing to offer net 60 or net 90? Sometimes it's just a question. The worst thing they're going to say is no, but sometimes they can come back and say, yeah, actually, we can do that. You guys have been with us long term. Let's make this a sweet deal. Annual or monthly? And then, are there any savings or incentives offered during using different payment methods? So sometimes some vendors are going to say, yeah, if you pay, be careful which vendor you use and how much you're spending, but if you pay using your credit card at the end of the year, we're going to give you cash back. It might be worth it. Ask them about that. And then support. The level of criticality should be an indicator on the level of support you require. So if this is a very high criticality tool for your company, obviously you want top of the line, the best support you can get. Maybe not for the low criticalities. Time of year or seasonal support is a possibility for those that have spiky seasons. So like for us in sales, Cyber 5's coming up, we're gonna say, hey, can we just go with the basic support, and then come the end of the year, can we increase that? Can we step it up the next level? Sometimes it doesn't work, it depends on your vendor, but have those open communications with your vendor. You're gonna keep them accountable, but also you're gonna share with them, hey, this is kind of where we're looking. This is how we're wanting to work with you guys. All right, anomaly detection and management. So if you take a step back, we've built a list, we find out what we're spending money on, we understand how it's being used, we have a clear understanding of the contracts and the documents, they're all housed in one location. Now we're gonna need to learn more about how it's being used, but also we already know how it's used, so now we wanna be monitoring those anomalies. So, set a limits. Set usage or cost alerts based on previous controlled usage. So look back at your 3-6 months. I wouldn't go back too far, especially if you guys, depending on what industry you're in, or if you just started using it. But be mindful of how far back you go, and then find your baseline, or find that best, I guess you could say, where your team was working at optimum. Set your limits there. Set up the alerts. Alerts should be delivered to the FinOps team. Similar to what Sarah from Google had mentioned earlier, don't just have it going to one person, because if that person is out climbing a hill and they get an alert for a cost anomaly, let's hope someone else back at the office got that cost anomaly as well, and they're handling it. And then upon reviewing, give the anomaly details to the team responsible for the anomaly, and figure out some questions. So for us, some of our basic questions was, hey, did we know this was coming? Is this planned? Is this how it's going to be going forward? Have we just rolled out something big and this is going to be our new normal amount? And then monitor it until it goes back down or levels out. One thing that we learned was if you continuously track the anomalies, you're able to be mindful of those repeaters. So sometimes you have things that are scheduled to all run at the same time at the beginning of each month, and then things start to slow down. And then I got teams coming at me going, hey, things are running slow. Okay, well, let's take a step back. Let's look at how things have been going previously. Hey, you've got a whole bunch of stuff running at the beginning of the month. Can we maybe schedule these out a little bit differently so they're not all hitting at the same time? AI usage is encouraged. Be mindful of usage spikes and keep an eye out for repeaters. And then make sure the anomalies alerts are not just going to one person. So how can this be integrated into your FinOps cycle? Under the inform stage of the cycle, it's going to bring you visibility into your business operations spend, and managers are given visibility into their department technology spend and usage. Under the optimization on license assignments and usage, AI license and token optimizations, and education and budget opportunities. And then under operate, we have continuous efforts on the ticketing tool and vendor accountability to improve the tools you are using. All right, moving forward. Next steps on the maturity process. So I think as you guys are aware in the FinOps stage, you get to the qual walk run, but at some point everything should be as automated as possible so that's freeing up your guys' time to be focusing on other areas. So set up an automated alerts for renewals and terminations on your current technology portfolio. When those alerts come in, you're able to have awareness, but you also know, hey, this is coming up. I need to check with the stakeholder, make sure we're good to go. Use the data you have gathered to help leadership with the future spend and usage decisions. When leadership comes to you and asks, hey, how's the spend been going or what's projected look like, they don't really want to wait 7 to 10 business days. They want those answers quickly. So use the data you've gathered to help leadership in the future spend for future spending usage decisions by simply having a few reports ready to go for them, but also knowing exactly who to go to from who's using the tools. And then continue to strengthen cross-company accountability and partnership. Work with the teams, keep those relationships going, and learn what their new projects are. Check with them and see how things are going. Sometimes they're gonna say, hey, yeah, we got this new project coming up and we're gonna need to completely get a whole new tool. That's a great opportunity for you guys to be involved. You guys are gonna be involved as advisors. You're not gonna say, no, that's a bad tool, but you get to be aware of what's coming. Appreciate you guys' time.
All right, we have time for Q&A. Reminder, holding the magic box doesn't make you loud. Talking into the magic box makes you loud. Here you go.
That was a wonderful presentation, by the way. My question is, from an optimization standpoint, you mentioned that you do the rightsizing and you also do the anomaly alerts and don't send them to one person. That's wonderful. I wanted to ask about a breakdown of how you set your anomaly alerts. I know in our company, we have thresholds by the dollar amount, and we can combine that with the percentage amount as well. What would you suggest as a way to capture, to hone in on each individual team and each individual project?
So I guess that would depend on, is it license-based or usage-based?
Usage-based.
Okay. I would say that kind of comes down to, depending on if it's like in your cloud base, is it tagged and labeled for sure, because that's going to be super helpful to know which department that is revolving to or which team that is for.
Okay.
We set up anomalies to come in via a ticket system, and within that, it'll show tags with labels and whatnot, but it'll show you so that you can reach out to those teams and say, hey, this is what you're at. But I would go to those managers and say, hey, what's your monthly look like? What's your team's goals for the year? And then work with them to set those anomaly limits with that.
Gotcha.
Does that answer your question?
It does.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Did you have a question?
Great presentation. Along those lines, can you get a little bit into under the covers in terms of the anomaly detection? What type of data feeds, reporting mechanisms, tooling that you used? And second, kind of perhaps really question, you made an allusion to the service desk or the ticketing system. Are there some shortcomings or challenges relative to FinOps that you're seeing that's making you consider, I don't know if it's a new ITSM platform or something along those lines? Just curious.
Sure, so our cost anomalies, we have those set up through, we do have some awesome tools that we have partners, some vendors that were able to provide us with alerting. And then what we did was we took those and we integrated them into our system as well. So like I said, anytime an anomaly comes in, it's sending us a ticket directly to our dashboard. And then we're also getting emails as well. So we're getting the cost anomaly from the vendor tool, but then we're also getting it from our ticket system. Meet me later, I can tell you that. And again, I'm sorry, your second part of the question?
Ticketing system changes, not that you're considering a change in ticketing, or improving your ticketing system.
Oh yeah, to help hone in where everyone's submitting requests to. We can go back. We can go back. That one? This one? It's okay. Do you have another question? Sure.
Are you guys using any kind of vendor management scorecards when you do your renewals? And if so, like what kind of tips do you have for someone who's like going to be implementing that?
Yes, so we are using some vendor management, I guess scoring is what we call it. And we set one up customized ourselves. But one thing to keep in mind for purchasing one is make sure one, information is private and not being shared. But also make sure that once things are submitted and they're set to go, like you can go back and edit them. Because sometimes once you submit that, it's locked for a while.
So you're using a third-party tool instead of something built in-house?
We use both. Yeah. Hi.
Great job. Did you build or buy for your contract lifecycle management? And how did you get everyone onto that? And then my second question is, have you got to a point where you can show back or charge back your costs for both your SaaS spend and your cloud combined?
Yeah, so bought for the alerting, and then we integrated it.
For the CLM, contract lifecycle management, for
Yep.
your contractor?
Yep.
Okay.
So we uploaded the information based on the contracts that we currently had,
Right.
and then we set up when to alert it. And part of that is when you're reading through the contract, how far ahead in termination do you need? And that's when we get those alerts for it.
Okay. Yeah.
And your second part was Showback for cloud versus
have
SaaS.
you managed to combine the two in a showback or chargeback way for both your cloud and your SaaS spend successfully?
Successfully took us a while, but we got there. We try to keep things a little bit separately in regards to like our cloud stuff and then our SaaS and technology, but a lot of those go to like the same person, so they get 2 reports.
And did you build or buy for that?
Cloud-wise, that was part of our vendor that provides us with the anomalies as well.
Okay.
And SaaS and technology, we built.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
So a little bit of hybrid, I guess you could say.
Yeah. Thanks.
What were some of the KPIs you used for contractor supplier metrics and then SaaS supplier metrics?
Well, it's a good question. So the KPIs that we used for that was contractor-wise, turnaround time, how they were consistent, how they worked with the teams. And for, you said SaaS for the other one? Again, talking with your stakeholders and finding out how they like it, how it's working for them. One thing that we kept in mind was, hey, we're integrating a whole bunch of new tools. Like, for example, we're bringing in AI. How is it to work with that as well? So a lot of times it came to us with diversity, how it works with the rest of our technology portfolio, but then also looking forward into like this year's goals and next year, will it still be able to meet our needs there?
Thank you very much for your talk. It's a great example of a intersecting discipline for sure. I think most of us in this room don't only do FinOps. Well, I'll speak for myself. I do everything. And one of the questions that I have, especially as it pertains to the showback portion of the request is, as people are requesting it, one of the gaps that we've had to bridge is sometimes we buy licenses in pools and those licenses are, available but not being consumed. When you're showing back those costs to the people within the ticketing system, do you bridge that gap with the stakeholder from a showback versus chargeback perspective? Because chargeback, they're going to get those costs once a year depending on materiality. So I'm curious how you handle that.
We do it by showback, we don't do it by chargeback. Depending on the tool, if it's company-wide or department-wide, that's going to be different in budgeting. But if it's company-wide, we don't do chargeback, we do showback.
Gotcha. And follow-up question to that, are you also handling the allocation component or does that come from traditional finance?
We're doing the allocation component as well.
Gotcha. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Appreciate the presentation, it was very helpful. Question on how you kind of prioritize where you put your effort as you review technology spend. What are your typical thresholds you use? Because I I'm guessing you use some sort of maybe like 80-20 rule, but then I think about like all the AI spend that's starting up and can so quickly proliferate through the organization and increase dramatically. So just want to get your thoughts overall on that.
I think first things first is what are the business needs? Because you don't want to hold back a team from doing something amazing for the business and be like, well, you're going to cost us a lot of money. Because sometimes it's already been approved for the whole year for the goal or for the budgeting. I think from that, within reason, I guess you could say, and I think it's really important to work with the team as well and find out, I guess, kind of where they're going. And I apologize, your second portion of that?
How do you kind of balance that between like maybe some things that come in at super low spend,
Yeah.
but you kind of then anticipate them growing quickly over time? So it's like
Yeah.
you may have to focus on the $100 or $1,000 transaction, now, but then it turns into $1 million.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, it happens for sure. Prioritization for that, I think one, how big of it is it going to be? Is it company-wide or is it just for one team? That's going to be super important as well. Working with the team, finding out their goals, how soon are we going to be hitting these goals? Is it Q1, Q2, Q3? It's going to give you awareness. But when you're budgeting for it and you're providing that cost show back to the management, you can say, hey, this is what we spent this month. Please be aware. This quarter, we're planning on going up by this percentage. It just keeps them aware, gives them a little idea in the back of their head. That way when it does spike, they're not sticker shocked. Any questions? You didn't want to toss it, Joe? They were tossing them next door.
I just had a question again regarding anomaly detection. Right now, I'm trying to build a standard process in place for anomaly detection. I'm just getting into it.
Good for you.
Like I said, there's 2 parameters to set, but I'm looking at the anomalies, and unfortunately, the system that I'm working out of, it doesn't give me like spikes happen every day. Sometimes they last longer than 1 day.
Yeah.
I want to catch the spikes that last 5 days or more. Is there a system, like, what would you recommend as far as trying to hone in on those spikes that last for various days? This will possibly be some anomalies or spikes that your engineering team probably won't pick up on either. It would be on us.
Yeah. First of all, did you build or buy your tool?
Okay.
You what?
Yes.
Did you build it or buy it?
We built it.
Okay. I don't know if you can work with your engineer team and say, hey, I want to set this up to get alerts when it continues. Because sometimes you can have it to where the tool should learn where your base is.
Yeah.
And it'll learn, hey, you're above it. Here's your spike anomaly. But then it should also learn when it goes back down.
Yeah.
And so sometimes you can set it up to be alerting you daily, even, hey, it's still above this threshold. See if your team's willing to do that, because then, yeah, things that last longer than 5 days, like by the time you're researching that, I don't know if you may want to change that to, if it stays above for 5 days, but maybe change that to $1 limit.
Okay.
Because if you got an anomaly for like $5, 5 days, sure, it's not much.
Right.
If you got a cost anomaly coming in for $500 and you're waiting 5 days out, like,
That's a lot.
that's a lot of money.
Yeah.
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 So see
We're
if you
in
can set
between
those up.
that right now. Yeah. Okay.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course. Any other questions?
All right, let's give a big round of applause for Hannah. Thank you, everybody.
Hey everyone, producer Andrew here. Thanks for watching. Check out the rest of our channel for more FinOps content. Like, subscribe, and leave questions and comments for our speakers. We appreciate your support.